Yay!
Ron DeSantis from Governor of Florida, who's criminalizing the immigrant community, criminalizing the gay community. He's erasing important American history. Yeah, so Ron DeSantis, he's coming here to town. They're raising money for him. Big Ag is raising money for him. They're spending $3,000 a plate. They're trying to raise funds to become president of the United States. We're a mixed community. We got a lot of different diverse peoples here. So we want to honor that, protect the folks that need the most. That's why we're here.
My name is Anthony Rocha, ANTHONYROCHA, and I'm a city council member for the city of Salinas.
Okay, so you guys have a number of items coming up tonight for tonight's meeting. Can you talk about how do you feel about the DeSantis item that you guys will be discussing?
Councilmember Andrew Sandoval and myself introduced that resolution before the City Council because it is my firm belief that Ron DeSantis has governed on a platform of hatred, racism, bigotry, homophobia, and overall his actions as governor are in direct contrast with the values of the city of Salinas and of our residents.
And what do you think that the outcome will be of tonight?
Well, the resolution is introduced before the City Council for a vote, and so that is what will take place.
What will you guys be taking into account when making the decision on whether you will condemn his visit?
The resolution has a number of actions the governor has taken in his capacity that we find to be in direct contrast with the values of the city of Salinas and its residents, in particular targeting our LGBTQ plus community, targeting immigrants, targeting asylum seekers, and trying to erase African American history in this country. And so his actions are dangerous, and it's important for us as elected officials to use our capacity as public officials to call that kind of bigotry and make sure that it is clear that we don't stand for that and we will speak out against that kind of hatred.
And my last question is what are your thoughts and feelings when you see the people of the city of Salinas out here protesting, and even on the weekend that they were as well?
We are a city of immigrants. We are a city of immigrants. We are a city that prides ourselves in our diversity, and so because of our shared values, we will stand in firm opposition to Ron DeSantis and his hateful rhetoric coming into our city. And so that's the purpose of this resolution, and that's the purpose of organizing. And I plan to participate in protests in the future and continue to voice my vehement opposition to Ron DeSantis' hateful rhetoric.
And actually, just one last question. What do you hope by condemning his visit, what do you think the message is that will send to DeSantis and his team?
I don't really care to send a message to DeSantis. I care to send a message to our community that our city council stands with them and that our city council will fight to uphold the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Ánimo, ánimo, ánimo. Hello, hello, hello. Ánimo, hello, hello, hello. Ánimo, ánimo. No se me asuste. No se para nada. Y siempre más andinos locas. Calladita más bonita. Here to stay. 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 Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Y si nos echan, no regresamos. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. unido, jamás será vencido. Pueblo sí, DeSantis no. 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 El pueblo sí, DeSantis no. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Y si nos echan, nos regresamos. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Y si nos echan, nos regresamos. Here to stay. 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 Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Y si nos echan, nos regresamos. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Y si nos echan, nos regresamos. ¡Sí se puede! 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 ¿Se puede, compañeras? ¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede! ¡El pueblo unido jamás será vencido! ¡El pueblo unido jamás será vencido! ¡Jamás será vencido! ¡Únete a la lucha! ¡Únete a la lucha! ¡Únete! A la lucha, únete. Se ve, se siente. El pueblo está presente. Se ve, se siente. El pueblo está presente. Se ve, se siente. El pueblo está presente. Pueblo sí. DeSantis no. Pueblo sí. DeSantis no. Pueblo sí. DeSantis no. Pueblo sí. DeSantis no. El pueblo callado jamás será escuchado. El pueblo callado jamás será escuchado. El pueblo callado jamás será escuchado. Únete, a la lucha, únete. Únete, a la lucha, únete. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Y si nos echan, nos regresamos. All right, so here we are. Olga Reina, O-L-G-A, Reina, R-E-Y-N-A, and I am with Building Healthy Communities.
Thank you, Olga. Okay, so of course, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis set to visit Salinas on Thursday. I see you and many other people are out here protesting his visit. Could you tell me just a little bit about your thoughts on that?
Well, this is an immigrant community. We're all farm workers here. A big part of us is farm workers. We don't appreciate the fact that the ranchers bring in the DeSantis, and he's a racist, and he hasn't been doing some good things for the immigrants in Florida. He's been mistreating them, and that's not right. So he comes to Salinas, and we don't stand for that kind of thing. We're a peaceful people, and we work. That's all we want to do. Today here at the City Council, we're here to support the resolution by Andrew Sandoval and Anthony Rocha, denouncing the fact that DeSantis came to town, and this is our city. And thank you.
Absolutely. And if I could just ask one more question, of course, when that item showed up on the agenda denouncing his visit, I mean, what were your initial thoughts?
I didn't, right away, I was very happy to hear that our city council is stepping up and they're going to support the people of Salinas, and that's all of us.
Absolutely. Anything else you'd like to add, or anything else you want people to know?
I just want everybody to come and join us at 5 o'clock tomorrow at Baton Memorial Park in the corner of what is on Market.
Amtrak train station.
The Amtrak train station, yeah. So that's where we'll be at 5 o'clock. Come grab a sign, make your own sign, and join us.
5 o'clock.
Here to stay. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Y si nos echan, nos regresamos. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Y si nos echan, regresamos. If they send us out, everybody, everybody. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Si nos echan, regresamos. Y si nos echan, regresamos. Únete a la lucha, únete a la lucha, únete a la lucha, únete. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Y si nos echan, regresamos. My name is Olga Reina. I'm here with the building Healthy Communities. We're here to drop off 52 signatures and 2 letters regarding this proposal. We want to thank the city of Salinas for listening to the community, and I just like to drop them off. You can read them at the time of that they introduce the item.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Members of the council, my name's Frank Saunders, downtown property owner. I would like to address a few of the comments that I listened to on YouTube from Ms. Gonzalez. And you're obviously a very angry young lady. I don't understand the anger. I don't understand how you can say that your seat means nothing and that any idiot can do your job. I don't believe any of these people are idiots up here. I don't know about you, but it was really disappointing to watch you. And I feel bad for your constituents, and I feel bad for your students. I hope you don't feed that garbage to them. Thank you.
If we can keep order, please. If we can keep order, please.
It's a rule.
Hi.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for that reminder. Thank you very much.
Nice forum.
We are going to ID 601, a resolution denouncing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' visiting Salinas, California. I do just want to remind the council and the public that we do have rules of decorum, and public decorum and norms and expectations of this meeting include not disrupting or speaking out of turn or using foul language. So with that, I will, I'm going to go through council first, and then we'll hear from the public. So with that, I will start to my right. Councilmember Osornio, you pulled this item. They've pulled the item for discussion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I really just wanted to commend the council members that brought this forward. I think it's an opportunity to be able to give a space so that community could come inside and just really speak on what they feel, and I think that's really important because as one council member at first seen news that this Florida governor would be coming to California and more specifically here to Salinas. At first, even though we are looked as politicians, I feel that a lot of times the issues that we're trying to improve are not real political issues. They're security at parks. They are fixing roads and fixing sidewalks. And sometimes we do get into issues that are a little bit more controversial. But in really speaking with residents and speaking with other professionals, I felt that it was important for me to remember the reason that I became a city councilman. So I became a city councilman in 2020, and the reason why was because I saw a friend of mine on TV speaking against some comments that were made by a presidential candidate. So there was times where I had to really ask myself if I was going to publicly say something. And it reminded me of why I took this position. And while I'm not interested in being political, whether it's right or left, red or blue or purple or whatever color, I think it's really important that we stand up when we are not in agreement with something. And I myself personally am not in agreement with individuals that have these viewpoints. So I thought it was just very important that in speaking with a lot of the people that I represent and a lot of people that I hold to a very high standard, I thought it was important that I publicly, for the record, let folks know that I am not in agreement of a visit that comes from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and again, it's his right, and it's the right of folks that would like to vote and hear different viewpoints from this individual, and I'm in favor of folks being able to hear different perspectives out. But I also must say that I am not in agreement with some of these viewpoints, and therefore the community that I represent, I feel that I just need to be bold and say that I too am not in favor of this person coming to Salinas, and we as a council have the opportunity to really have a public platform and voice that concern. So that's my comment, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gonzalez, you also pulled this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to do my best to look my mom and dad and brother in the eye, who have much better things to do today. But I brought my daddy here so that I would be on my best behavior. Hi, Dad. Hey. He's the short, bald guy in the front, for those of you that are looking. The handsome man in the front. Handsomest of all, Pops. All right, here we go. He's a social worker, by the way. When I was a child, it was clear to me that life was not worth living if we did not know love. I wish I could testify that I came to this awareness because of the love I felt in my life. But it was love's absence that let me know how much love matters. I am my father's third daughter. At the moment of my birth, I was looked upon with loving kindness and gratitude, cherished and made to feel wanted on this earth, in my home, and in my city, and in this country, and in this country. To this day, I cannot remember when that feeling of being loved left me. I just know that one day, I and everyone that looked like me or felt like me was no longer precious, no longer worth protecting, no longer worth defending. Those who had initially loved me well turned away. The absence of their recognition and regard pierced my heart and left me with a feeling of brokenheartedness so profound that I lost it on TV, and Felix Cortez got to talk about it. That was a joke. You can laugh now, everybody. I want to talk today about a return to love. I speak of love to bear witness both to the danger in this moment, the danger, 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 danger in this moment, danger. Redeemed and restored Love always returns us to the promise of everlasting life. When we love, we can let our hearts speak. And what my heart has to say is that I am Carla Viviana González López Carrizosa Caloca Barraza Bobadilla. My father is Ignacio González. My mother is Marisa López. Marisa López was born in El Talayote, Sinaloa, just on the outskirts of Culiacan, because her grandmother was sick and dying. And her mother, who was working in the fields of San Nardo, had to go back to Mexicali, where she had left her kids, by the way, because she couldn't bring all 8 at once. In that home, those children faced many things and stayed quiet and survived because they had to, because that was the card that they were dealt. My father was homeless at 13 on the border, trying to swim across a river at 13, homeless. And I will stop there because those are not my stories to tell. They are my mother's and my father's and my grandfather's and my grandmother's before me. But if you ask my name in El Teúl de González Ortega, they will tell you that that town belongs to me. And if you go to Culiacan, Sinaloa, and you ask for Josefa López de Eras, you'll get a few questions, and ultimately they'll point you in the direction of one of her many living brothers. And I know that in this moment, more than anything, my grandmother is very proud because she was a woman who was truly the salt of the earth, wretched of the earth, and was dealt a very unfortunate and unfavorable hand. And instead of crying about it, whining about it, getting on some mic and putting on crocodile tears and pretending to be soft, she went to work. She clocked in the next day. She survived. She didn't ask for handouts. No, because she knew, and I know, that people like her and people like me have to work twice as hard as everyone else in the room to get half as much. And that sometimes we have to yell in order to be heard. Now, far be it from me to push the bounds of propriety again. However, when I tell you that I am Carla Viviana González and I've studied race, culture, and ethnic studies for the past, 15 years, and that this is my home, and that my grandmother lived on Del Monte, and that I grew up at 13 Ibano Place, and on Saguaro, and on Cactus, and that I went to Steinbeck and to La Paz, and then to Alisal, and then to San Francisco, and then to UC Santa Cruz, and then came back, then you will understand exactly why I am so upset today and exactly why this is so personal to me. Ron DeSantis' name is literally run from the saints. I cannot make this clearer. So, be like Bruce Willis, or Bruce Wayne, or Taylor Swift. Those Bruces and those Taylors, I endorse, I approve very much. The others, let's not even talk about, because this isn't about them. This is about ignorance and bigotry and silence, which permits terrible people to continue to oppress and, yes, discriminate those that they feel are on the wrong side of the tracks. Not because they crossed it to hug a lady to feel good, but because they were born on the wrong side of tracks. Not because they make good choices, but because they've had to make really hard decisions and trade-offs to exist in this country. And in spite of all of that, in spite of all of it, I know that when I look my mother and my father and my brother in the eyes today, and I tell them that I love this country more than any other country in the world, and that this is the most patriotic thing that I'm ever gonna do, they're gonna believe me. So yeah, I condemn this man coming to my home. Ignorance and bigotry and those who would represent it are not welcome here. So keep him in your fancy house and do not bring him to the east side. We don't like him there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sandoval, you also made a secondary request to pull this item.
Thank you. Our community shouldn't live in fear Our community doesn't deserve to live in fear. Policies developed by this man and pushed by this man affect marginalized communities. I didn't prepare a speech. I didn't know what I was going to say. But just as I walked in here, it says rich in land and rich in values. And my values stand for the community. And that's all I have to say.
Councilmember Rocha, you also pulled this item.
Thank you. I want to thank Councilmember Sandoval for being my co-sponsor and bringing this resolution forward. Let me be very clear. This resolution is about standing up for what's right, standing up for your community, and calling out racism, bigotry, homophobia, and hatred for what it is. This man has engaged in a full-fledged state-funded campaign to terrorize marginalized communities in his state. He has targeted the LGBTQ plus community. He has terrorized women and attempted to revoke reproductive rights. He has marginalized and attacked and terrorized immigrants, asylum seekers. The list goes on. And his policies are so dangerous and so hateful that it requires elected officials to have the courage to stand up and say, excuse me, this man is hateful, this man is dangerous, and if he's going to come to my city, I'm going to make sure that our city council puts out a resolution saying we condemn you, we condemn your actions, we condemn your visit to the city, you do not reflect us, the values of this city are in direct contrast to the hate that you spew in Florida. Salinas is a diverse community. We are a city that's 80% Latino. We're a city of immigrants. We are a city that takes pride in our diversity. But growing up here, I could also tell you, we're a city that looks out for each other. We're a city that doesn't allow bullying to happen here. We're a city that stands up for one another. And so that man coming to this city at the request of the largest employers in this area is a complete slap in the face to our community. It's disrespectful. And that's why the city council has to take this decision to condemn his visit to our city. What some may say as a reason to not pursue this is that we should allow everyone to have their First Amendment rights to hear whatever they want to hear, to say whatever they want to say. And the truth is, this resolution has nothing to do with someone's speech. This resolution has everything to do with his actions that he has taken in his capacity as an elected official. That is what this resolution is condemning. This resolution is condemning various state legislation that he has signed into law, various initiatives that he has pursued as governor. So if you want to have your First Amendment rights to say whatever, that's fine. We also have our First Amendment rights to call out that kind of hatred and bigotry and do it in the form of a resolution. What I'll also say is, some may say, stick to the bread and butter issues, stick to fixing the roads, the sidewalks, and so forth. Well, you know what? We would all really, really like to stick to the bread and butter issues, but guess what? Our existence is constantly threatened, and we have to fight to make sure that our existence can stand without being challenged. I would love to stick to bread and butter issues, but as a gay Latino, my rights are being under attack. I'm pretty sure the African American community would love to stick to focusing on the day-to-day issues of their lives, but you know what? There's a governor in Florida that has signed legislation that bans African American history from being taught in schools. There are immigrants in this country that love to stick to bread and butter issues, but they are being lied to, coerced, put on planes and buses across the country, and being left in cities with no access to food, water, or housing. So we would love to stick to the bread and butter issues, but regrettably, we have elected officials in this country that use their authority, weaponize their power, and target people and terrorize communities. He is one person out of 50 that holds the title of governor, and he is using that to terrorize people and to revoke people's civil rights, revoke people's human rights. And I think it's incumbent on the city council to take that step forward and say, no, you don't get to do that and get away with it. We're going to call you out for it. And what I'll also pose to some of my colleagues on this council is, we're a city that, like I said, loves to celebrate our diversity. When you go to El Grito, when you go to Salinas Valley Pride, when you go to Juneteenth, and you show up to those events and you celebrate the communities that have invited you to that event, guess what? As an elected official, now you have a responsibility to fight for what that event is celebrating. Because Pride was a protest. So when you're invited to Pride, you are there committing yourselves to fight for LGBTQ plus rights. When you go to Juneteenth, you're committing yourselves to fight for social justice, racial justice, and for equal protection of law for our African American community. When you go to El Grito, you're showing up there and you're saying you are standing in solidarity with Mexicanos in the city. And so to any member of the City Council that has attended any of those, I ask that today you reaffirm your commitment that you gave by your presence there and stand with us and support this unanimously. As an elected official, if you question whether or not you should speak up when someone is committing human rights violations, you really should consider choosing a different career path, because your constituents does not deserve to have someone that questions the legitimacy of human rights and the protection of our democracy and the protection of equal protection of law in this country. That being said, I'm very proud of the members of the City Council that have stepped forward and spoken up. I know that there's been a great deal of scrutiny, a great deal of pressure, but I am very proud to serve with certain members of this council that have that courage and that commitment to community. History will look back on this day, and it will be very clear who stood on the side of the community. And with that being said, I move the item for approval.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Rocha, seconded by Councilmember Sandoval. Councilmember McShane, you pulled this item?
Yeah, I applaud the community engagement. If only we could get this many people to come to a council meeting on a regular basis. It's how democracy works. I look forward to public comment, there's no doubt. While I'm not supporting Ron DeSantis, I just don't think that this sort of action applies to our role as a local governing body. I think I'm entitled to that belief, and yeah, for that reason, I'm going to be abstaining from this action. That's all.
I reserve for comment as well. Certainly find the actions of Governor DeSantis to be absolutely unacceptable, particularly for a community that has an overwhelming need and representation of our immigrant community. I had a little bit of a different approach that I just wanted to unpack for the public and for this council, in that I do feel that it is completely appropriate to denounce Ron DeSantis's visit. However, we have the opportunity to have strong conversations with some of the most powerful people in the agricultural industry who are meeting with a presidential candidate. And certainly some actually have packing sheds in Florida. And so in my mind, the thought process of you have a presidential candidate who's stumping for votes through California, there's an opportunity for some influence and some change in how Governor DeSantis chooses to govern. I don't know if that's the case, but I do think it's worth publicly pushing our agricultural leaders to have the uncomfortable conversation about why immigration is so incredibly important in a community like Salinas, why his policies are invasive and horrible for our immigrant communities. And I hope that conversation is had. But I also understand and recognize his presence alone brings fear and concern to our community. So with that, I will close my comments, and I will open for public comment. I appreciate.
My name is Jeff Gorman. I'm the chairman of the Monterey County Republican Party. There are over 40,000 Monterey County Republicans, and I believe they have a right to a voice. As Mr. Rocha said, there is a First Amendment right at issue here. A city councilwoman gave a vulgar tirade the other day. I appreciate the color on that and the apology. I looked it up. She was elected by 2,800 voters, by 90 votes, and congratulations to that, against another Democrat, I think. And these votes are important, but you don't speak for the entirety of Salinas or the entirety of Monterey County. And there are many Republicans here, and we are an important minority community. Salinas has been a welcoming city, rich in land and values, and that is a good motto. It is a mistake not to welcome someone that you disagree with. It is a big mistake. It reminds me of bullying, and it is a tragedy when someone that is bullied and beaten and abused becomes a bully. That is a tragedy. This resolution, in the words of Anthony Rocha, and especially Carla Gonzalez, are the opposite of inclusive. Their intolerance speaks poorly of them, and I know I can see, I've been appreciative of the 3 hours, and I can see they're real people with real feelings, and I get it. But I think they're being colored and animated by personal vendettas and animus, and honestly, I think they're misrepresenting Ron DeSantis to the people of Salinas. This city suffers greatly. There are potholes. There is a need for park security, et cetera. I won't go into that. Anthony addressed it very well. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, Anthony Rocha, sorry. Each of you has thousands of hard workers in your districts and many business leaders in your districts, and even the very smallest business leaders. They need us to work together and have these dialogues. So let's look for tolerance. Let's celebrate the First Amendment. As a token of goodwill, I brought 7 copies of the Constitution that you can give to your constituents and talk about, I don't have it in my notes, but Eli Wiesel's quote, "The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference."
Thank you.
This has been a good discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can leave it with the city clerk. Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council, Madam Mayor. I want to read this account from Jean-Baptiste Atkins, published in 2015, History of Monterey County, African Americans in Monterey County. According to local historian Phil Reeder, one resident was Louis Barden, a slave brought to Salinas in 1856 by his owner, James Barden. In the 1850 census, Louis Barden is listed as a laborer. James Barden established a boot shine stand for Louis on Main Street in Salinas. It is believed that Louis was not informed that California was a free state. James Barden enslaved Louis for more than 10 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. Once Louis Barden became aware of freedom in California, he escaped and established a farm in Corralitos in Santa Cruz, in the Santa Cruz Mountains. This is what the curriculum would prevent from learning this kind of history. It's a history that I barely learned within the last few years. It's a history that I believe every Salinas resident should learn. That a man who was enslaved was brought here as a slave and had to escape even after the Emancipation Proclamation 10 years after. Barden is one of our founding members of this city. So this chance for us to come together for the love of democracy, for the love of our pueblo, for the love of our immigrant workforce. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hello, Olga Reina here, community activist, proud to be here and support our city councilmen that have brought up this proposition. It's very important for us. We are a working community. We represent all of the economy here in this area, and we're proud to be who we are. So I support. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Mayor of City Council. My name is Joe Cubbage, and I am a resident of Monterey County. And I'm really here just to state that it is concerning to me when I see elected officials using county or city letterhead to denounce somebody who's running for a political office. I was first took notice of this with a Monterey County Board of Supervisors member who had used Monterey County Board of Supervisors letterhead to denounce Mr. DeSantis' visit here to Monterey County. And I agree with the statements that you made, Mayor Craig, about taking a look at the opportunities that might come from about this. I hear other members of the council talking about the hardships of the people who are here, whether they're here legal or illegally, that need to be protected. And maybe I see things a little bit differently. I was the first American at the battle for Kyiv, Ukraine. And, missiles flying over my head, guerrilla warfare in the streets. And so I know that some people need to be protected. And I just want to say that it's dangerous when we start using a political office to denounce somebody's efforts to win an election.
Councilmember Barrera, you never cease to disappoint. I really enjoy your comments. Every time I'm in City Council, you always have a good insight. And Carla, whether you think so or not, I love you too, and I enjoy your banter and your. We get past the narcissism and the hate and all that stuff. I like your chit chat. One thing that I learned or I internalized when I ran for office previously at the city level is that this is a nonpartisan position. And this is a position where you represent the entire community. I'm not fond of Ron DeSantis, but if you're upset about busing migrants, the administration at the federal level has bused millions and millions since they've been in office here to hundreds of cities across this country and use them as political pawns. So when it comes to representing the city from a council perspective, the engagement in a federal election process and a candidacy is not your place. If you want to have your voice heard, you can as a resident and go protest. That's how you do it. But to silence somebody and to think that you are smarter than we are to determine whether or not this is a good person or not is an absolute conflict of your duty to your constituents and to our city. There's legal ramification to what you might be doing here. I thank you all. You're all very intelligent. I love you all. And thank you for putting in all your time. There's a lot of time, a lot of commitment that you put in here, and I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es María Vázquez y como miembro de la comunidad estoy aquí hoy para dar mi punto sobre DeSantis. Lo que vimos en la televisión, todo lo que pasó en la Florida, no fueron mentiras, todo fue real. Y es a base de eso que la comunidad de Salinas ahorita estamos espantados. No sabemos qué hacer. ¿Por qué? Porque sabemos que esta persona no viene a hacer nada bueno aquí a nuestra comunidad. Yo ahorita tengo 50 años de edad. A mis 20 años llegué a trabajar a los campos, trabajé para todas esas compañías, dejé ahí mi juventud, mi salud, mi energía, todo, para que ahora esta persona venga con estas propuestas aquí y que nuestros patrones a los que servimos, a los que trabajamos y a los que enriquecemos, no se me hace justo. Es por eso que yo hoy aquí estoy levantando la voz, porque muchos que están en mis zapatos, que mucha de mi comunidad hispana, somos los que estamos no asustados, aterrados. Y creo que es una verdadera injusticia que estos rancheros estén dando su apoyo a esta persona cuando podrían dársela aquí a la ciudad de Salinas. ¿Por qué regalar el dinero que nuestros hermanos campesinos trabajan a otra persona de otra ciudad? Eso es mi comentario. Gracias.
Hello, my name is Maria Vasquez, and I'm a member of the community, and today I'm here to give my point of view regarding DeSantis. What we have seen on the TV that has happened in Florida, that is not lies. That is something that makes us not scared, but terrified. We know that he is here to do nothing good out of his visit, And for 50 years, I have worked in the fields. I have given my youth, I have 50 years old, and I've given away my youth, my health, and it's not fair for him to come here and give his proposal to our bosses. We have served them, we have enriched them. I'm here to elevate my voice and ask you to please put yourself in our shoes. We're not scared, we're terrified. We don't think it's fair that these rancheros are supporting him. Why would they give money to this person instead of giving it to the city of Salinas? So other people can benefit. So I'm here because we're really afraid of what is going to happen.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Nidia Soto. Buenas tardes, alcaldesa y miembros del concilio. La Escuelita de Involucramiento Cívico, junto con una coalición de residentes de nuestra comunidad de Salinas, que viven en diferentes distritos de esta hermosa comunidad, compuesta de gente de todos los colores, en este caso específico, gente negra, LGBTQIA y más, y obviamente nosotros los inmigrantes. Denunciamos al gobernador DeSantis y dejamos claro que no es bienvenido a nuestra comunidad de Salinas por la dirección que él ha tomado de promover el racismo en este país, y todos los que al final firmamos esta carta estamos apoyando la resolución denuncia la visita del gobernador de Florida, Ron DeSantis, en Salinas. Y esto lo menciono porque es la carta que entregó Olga. Tomando en cuenta que es un candidato para la presidencia de este país, su campaña está basada en atacar a la comunidad más vulnerable. Número 2, las políticas educativas del gobernador DeSantis se han extendido a la historia del racismo, ya que ahora es ilegal que las escuelas públicas eduquen la verdad sobre la esclavitud, la segregación de los Estados Unidos. Un grupo de residentes recurrimos a una protesta pacífica, dejando claro nuestro desacuerdo en la llegada del gobernador de Florida, DeSantis, con el propósito de recaudar fondos para su campaña presidencial. Dicha promoción de recaudar estos fondos está promovida por algunos agricultores en nuestra comunidad, los cuales sus empleados son inmigrantes.
I give you a warm welcome, and my name is Nidia Soto, and I'm a member of the community and la Escuelita of Civic Studies. We, as residents, we do not agree about, I live in this beautiful, I live in this beautiful city. It is people of color live here, in this specific case, Black people, people from the LGBTQ community, and obviously all us that are immigrants. So we denounce Governor DeSantis, and we leave it clear that he is not welcome to our community of Salinas, because the direction that his policy has taken is to promote racism in our country. And at the end, we all signed the letter supporting this. So the resolution 23601 denouncing the visit of Governor de Florida from Ron DeSantis of Salinas, California, considering that he is a candidate for the presidency of this country, and his campaign is based on attacking the communities that are more vulnerable. The education policies that this governor has extended, the story of racism, now it is illegal for these public schools to educate about the truth about slavery and the segregation that the United States has suffered. A group of residents, we had a pacific protest, leaving it clear that we do not agree with the arrival of Governor DeSantis from Florida with the purpose of getting funds for his campaign, and that this promotion of gathering funds promoted She said
Go
a
ahead.
little bit more.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm
Go
just
ahead.
going to finish what she said. So it's not fair for some of these farm workers in our community, the ones that I employ, these immigrants, and make it possible for our country to have fruits and vegetables at the table. That is why we denounce the actions of Governor DeSantis.
Thank you.
I'm Eleanor Elliott, and I am a retired social worker from here in Monterey County, and I'm citizen of Salinas, California. And I absolutely do support this resolution. I don't see it as a partisan or, action. I don't see it as a Republican versus Democrat, Democrat versus Republican issue. I see it as protection of my community. Your job is to protect my community, my friends, my family, my loved ones, my LGBTQ community, my immigrant family and friends. And this man is, I'm not here because he's, running for president. I don't give a crap about that. He's an ugly, hateful man, and he's coming here to spread his hatred in our beautiful community. And I reject that. And I really want to support this resolution, and thank you for bringing it up and for standing with us, because we are marching and we are protesting. And, I've been doing this for a long, long time, many, many years. I've been protesting against the people who wrong us. I marched with the farm workers many years ago, and this week I've been out marching with friends that I marched with many, many years ago, with Cesar Chavez. I just want to say that I love this community and I want to keep it safe. And I don't think that allowing a man like this to come here is going to do us any good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Angie Morphine Vargas. Times have changed a lot. I worked in the fields, and I could prove that I worked in the fields. And I thanked God every day for having the opportunity to have a job to feed my family. I respected my farm worker community. I respected the immigrants. But I also realized that when too many immigrants were coming and they were illegal, that there wasn't enough work for me and I would be sent home. The reason I'm here is because I am not voting for DeSantis. He's the governor of Florida. I'm actually voting for Trump. And the reason I'm voting for Trump is because he stood by my son when my son was murdered. I'm one of the angel moms that went to Washington, D.C. Ruben was murdered in the streets of Salinas by a gang member that was here in the country illegally. And that's something I can't forget. I am not voting for DeSantis, but he has a right to come here. This is America. We're not in other countries. This is America, and he has a right to come here and represent the people of the United States. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marissa Gonzalez, Carla's mother, and I just want to say that I'm very proud of my daughter. And this lady said it, she said it perfectly. She protects her community. That is Carla. She's always fighting for the people that need it the most. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Hi, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Ignacio Gonzalez. Excuse me. Regardless of my relation to some of you that I know, thank you. It's a very polarizing thing. I do believe in free expression. When I migrated to this country, what moved me to come here was I always saw the U.S. as a benevolent giant. That is what the United States is. It's a benevolent giant. We need to use the magic of reconciliating conflicting views. This is not about being Republican or being Democrat. This is about America. A lot of famous Republicans, I almost adore. I don't adore him. I only adore God Almighty. But I have a lot of respect and admiration for a lot of American Republicans. I would like to respectfully invite all this noise of both sides, including you. You know who I'm talking to use your intellect. We talk about love, about reconciliation. This is America. You have the right to pass resolutions, you're elected. You have the right to express your views. The other side also has the right to express. This is America. I was about to swear, but this, okay. I am an immigrant. I'm grateful to this country. I would die for America anytime. That's what I told you, somebody that I know. Members of my family are right now across the ocean with a M16 sending our, that's all I can tell you, okay? So this is not about not being unpatriotic. I don't even know this senor from Florida. I just know what I have read about him is disturbing. Thank you, City Council, for validating your community. I spoke too much, sorry.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Good evening, City Council. I emailed the long version of this public comment to you a little bit earlier, but I'm going to recite the 2-minute version. My name is Chris Barrera, President of LULAC Council 2055. LULAC denounces Ron DeSantis' September 28th visit to Salinas, California. We are particularly appalled that alleged local businesses and political leaders are hosting this person who proudly spews hate and enacts discriminatory policies. Among the hateful and dangerous policies that DeSantis supports are the following. He bans public colleges and universities from funding efforts and promotes diversity, equity, and inclusion, also known as DEI. He bans the state's political colleges and universities from offering general education courses about identity politics and the idea that systemic racism is inherent in the institutions of the United States. He allowed book banning via policies that mandate certain books can be pulled from school shelves for review within 5 days of a person flagging it as concerning. From using humans for despicable publicity stunts to hindering the public education system in the name of racism and homophobia. DeSantis is a despicable human being who stands for everything our country is against. In sum, Ron DeSantis pushes policies that state if you are part of an underdeserved, oppressed community, you are not welcome. To that, Salinas LULAC Council 2055 states, if you support such oppressive and racist policy, you are not welcome in our beautiful city of Salinas. And I would also like to state, when one says we don't like to get political, everything is political, even when it comes to sidewalks, streets, parks, and illegal rent hikes. Thank you for your representation and serving us proudly.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close public comment in the rotunda and go to Zoom. If you do wish to speak on this item, I ask that you please raise your hand. We will give 2 minutes for each member on Zoom. Just a gentle reminder for those on Zoom, we do have public decorum and rules of decorum for this community and for this meeting. There are norms and expectations. If you disrupt, speak out of turn, or use foul language, we will cut short your time. With that, I will go ahead and go to Zoom members. Matt Huerta.
I want to really thank Council Members Rocha and Sandoval who brought this resolution forward. This resolution is consistent with the City Council's goal of an effective and culturally responsive government. I want to thank you for standing up for our immigrant community who makes our city function, especially our leading agricultural economy. Thank you for standing up for our LGBTQ brothers and sisters who are under attack by Governor DeSantis. Thank you for standing up for an inclusive and historically accurate teaching of how our country's wealth was created on the backs of Black slaves who were dehumanized. There's no redeeming skills to justify that fact. Thank you for standing up for women's reproductive rights. Our community will stand together in opposition to the destructive agenda that Governor Ron DeSantis represents, and we will hold anyone accountable who gives him a platform and money for his campaign.
Buenas
Thank you.
tardes, mi nombre es Beatriz Ramírez, soy del distrito número 1 y formo parte de la escuelita Solo Breve. Estoy en apoyo a que pase esta resolución respecto a la visita del gobernador de Florida, Ron DeSantis, y solo pido al concilio, por favor, apoyen esta resolución. Gracias.
It's on?
Go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Beatriz Ramirez. I'm from District 1, and I'm part of the Escuelita. And I'm just calling so you can support this resolution regarding the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. Please, council members, support this resolution.
Hello, everyone. My name is Itlali. I am a resident of Salinas, and I am also a senior Fiat Lux scholar at the University of California, Berkeley, studying food systems and ethnic studies. I am also a former student of City Council Member Gonzalez. I graduated from Alisal High School in 2019 and was part of the very first class offered at Alisal that was actually culturally relevant to the majority population in Salinas. The knowledge I gained from taking this class with City Council Member Gonzalez, alongside the work I did with BHC, has supplemented my current research on hydrocolonialism and the ways colonialism continues to disrupt Indigenous sovereignty and Indigenous life beyond borders. I am angry because the City of Salinas continues to show me that it does not care about me and my community. I am angry because instead, the city I live in prefers to be a sanctuary for bigots, racists, and oppressors, instead of declaring itself a sanctuary city for undocumented laborers on stolen land. I am here today to remind you all that the majority of our community remains marginalized under governments of oppression, and current actions in the city of Salinas in welcoming Ron DeSantis are all contributing to these systems of bigotry and oppression. I am here to tell you all that welcoming Ron DeSantis poses a threat to our undocumented and marginalized populations in the city of Salinas, and this goes beyond his agenda, as it is also a reflection of city councils and ag companies in Salinas' priorities of furthering Ron DeSantis' campaign, overpaying farm workers a living wage. I call on Linda and Bruce Taylor of Taylor Farms, Sandy and John Diarrigo and Diarrigo Bros, Shelley and Steve Bernard of Mission Produce, Susan and David Gill of Real Farms, Steve
Thank you. Your
Church,
time is up.
brothers.
Council. My name is Ana Velasquez, and I speak to you today as a daughter of immigrant farm workers who came to this country in hope of a better life. I also speak to you as a former 20-year employee of the city of Salinas who worked as neighborhood services for many years in Salinas to bring a voice to the people and work in partnership with local government to address social and economic disparities. My father left his home country of Jalisco, Mexico at the age of 16 to come to California looking for a better life for him, my grandmother, his brothers and sisters. He came to work in the Salinas Valley as part of the Bracero program and worked hard every day until his body was too weak to endure all the health complications that came from long days and backbreaking work in the lettuce fields of the Salinas Valley. My father is only one of many migrant farm workers that have made this country economically prosperous, known to the world as a salad bowl. I commend and support the resolution before you, and it's in times like this that we need to come together and stand up for what's right. Florida Governor DeSantis' presence in Salinas is offensive, and not because he's a Republican, but because his actions and policies stand against the values of our community and the hard work of many of you elected officials and nonprofit agencies that value our migrant population, our undocumented, and our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. Today, let's stand in unity to be the voice of those who cannot be here today to speak out against racist policies and individuals who support them. Thank you.
My name is Kimberly Torres. I am a resident of Salinas, and I am also a student of the University of California, Santa Cruz, majoring in psychology and theater arts. I graduated from Alisal High School in 2019, and I was very fortunate to be one of Ms. Gonzalez's Mexican American Studies students. My entire family is comprised of farm workers who have given their lives to agriculture and broken their backs in order to provide labor to these big agricultural companies. Exploitative exploitative labor at that, because our wages are not a living wage. How is it that a fast food service employee at In-N-Out gets paid more than a farm worker who works to put produce on our tables, whose labor is essential for our economy? Salinas is a city composed majorly of immigrants, many of which are agricultural workers, and yet the big ag companies who they have devoted their life to are to bring DeSantis to our community, a man whose policies evoke harm towards them. We're angry that you choose to disrespect the labor of our people by allowing someone with harmful ideologies into our city. We're angry that our people are not being considered, that these companies happily benefit from the exploitative labor of our people, but choose to ignore their background and willingly ignore the fact that bringing DeSantis to our community will affect the safety of our immigrants as well as other groups targeted by his ideologies, once again simply to fill their pockets. Our people are scared.
First of all, I want to say that I am more than open to discussion, but if they really wanted to have a productive conversation, they would not be charging $3 to $5K to attend this event. My name is Alondra Medrano, and I'm too a very young lady. I graduated from Alisal High School in 2019, where I was a student of Carla Gonzalez in her Mexican American Studies class. Throughout my high school career, I was an intern with the Building Healthy Communities, participating in Cicovia, La Cosecha, CIPTED, and the Alisal Vibrancy Plan. I am now a Fiat Lux Scholar at UC Berkeley, where I am majoring in genetics and plant biology and Chicano and Latino studies. I attribute this achievement to my access of ethnic studies classes and programs, and Carla herself will spend her after-school time helping me navigate the application process to higher education. My anger and my community's anger is valid, and if you are not angry or you do not understand why we are angry, you are the problem. I was raised in East Salinas, a community filled with resilient and hardworking people, many of whom, like my parents, make a livelihood from working in the fields. Ron DeSantis' ideologies deserve the solidarity that the community of Salinas has worked countless hours building. He has continuously and aggressively targeted marginalized communities which these ag executives are profiting from the exploitation of racialized labor who are oftentimes immigrants and lack citizenship. The experience of citizenship in itself in the context of the United States is built upon the violence enacted against indigenous and black people. The communities previously mentioned are under constant attack under DeSantis' policies, as seen with the erasure and censorship of Black history from school curriculum in Florida. Banning this does not mean it does not happen. People live these experiences. Ethnic studies and CRT does not teach us that we are oppressed, but it offers the language for us to understand why and how. A white person might argue that condemning Ron DeSantis is censorship, but I argue that it's simply the manifestation of white grievance. They are only responding to the decentering of the white American experience. This is not a melting pot. Our people deserve to feel safe in their home. Más respeto para las personas y la tierra que nos alimentan.
Carrie Swenson for...
So I just have a short response to my support for this ballot or whatever it is and against DeSantis. So what DeSantis does not want? If you're Hispanic, he doesn't want you or your children to be citizens. If you're black, he wants you to believe that slavery was good for you. If you're a woman, he doesn't want you in the boardroom, factory floor, or anywhere else. He wants women to be barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen. If you're LGBTQ+, you have no rights. You don't exist. He doesn't want public education. He would destroy it in Salinas and everywhere else, as he has done in Florida. Some in our community are going to donate $3,300 to $5,000 to his campaign. I remind you that every dollar donated to DeSantis contains the labor, sweat, and hopes of our essential field workers who only want a better life for their children. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jose Larios. I'm a student. I'm from District 4. I'm here to ask the council to support the resolution condemning the visit of Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis' presidential campaign has been nothing short of an absolute joke. The policies he has implemented in Florida have been a disaster. Governor DeSantis poses a threat to one of our community's most vulnerable, our migrant workers. Our migrant workers deserve more respect. They have worked through rain, extreme heat, and wildfires. These workers are the reason these big ag companies are thriving. Governor DeSantis has a First Amendment right to say whatever he wants. The First Amendment means the government will not prosecute him for what he says. It in no way means we have to say idly as he espouses hateful rhetoric to our community. Governor DeSantis has kidnapped migrant workers in Florida, and he has no business to come to Salinas to beg money for his failing presidential campaign. I also have a message for Jeff Gorman. Jeff Gorman, you do not speak for Salinas. You have ran for Congress multiple times and have been rejected by voters overwhelmingly. Learn your place in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and with that, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Very much appreciate the engagement from the public on this item, and we'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Sí.
Councilmember McShane?
Abstain.
Councilmember Osornio?
Yes.
Councilmember Rocha?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Before I vote, I'd like to make a comment.
Councilmember Sandoval, we need
We're
to
in-
take the vote. When
Yeah,
I start taking the vote, we got to...
Respectfully, I'd like to make a comment.
Council member, I'll allow you to take the comment afterwards. I'd like for you to vote. We're in the middle of the vote.
Yes.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Councilmember Sandoval, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to address something. Hay un dicho en español that says, tienes el nopal en la frente, right? And that means you have a cactus on your forehead. And maybe the reference is not going to click for everybody, but I just want to share something with you. As we made this vote, and Councilmember McShane has taken the liberty to sometimes call us compa, amigo, and recently when he attended El Grito, he had a Mexican flag en la pura frente. And it's unfortunate that he didn't take the stand to support the community that he so claims to support, and I hope he does better, because the community is watching. Thank you very
your
much,
comments. Thank you.
Order, Mayor?
Yeah, Councilmember, we have rules of decorum to respect each other on this dais. Thank you.
Well, I don't think he said anything disrespectful. I think he made a comment. So, and
Councilmember,
quite frankly, you said a lot
we're going
worse,
to move on to
Councilmember
the next
McShane.
item. Thank you. With that, we're going to go forward with our next item.